understand language, body language, in order to understand the different cultures. I could do that. I don't know if it's helpful. I could go through the same thing. I won't go through them in the same detail. I could do the same for the Chinese, where they cluster, where they come from is different. The different ways and why they came, and where they speak, and the economic links, and number 8 being lucky. H is lucky as well because it's the 8th letter of the alphabet. Number 4 is unlucky. You have to understand these cultural things. If you do an ad with 4, guys, you're going to have a problem, okay? And these are not like, oh gee, what are you talking about, Howard? It's just a superstition. There are streets and houses that don't sell if they don't have the 4. There are people who pay to have their addresses changed to have the 8. I can tell you that I live in an area where there's a lot of Asians doing buying from a real estate perspective, and there are people's houses who are not selling because the belief is if you open the door and you can sort of see to the back of the house, it's sort of the prosperity that flows out the back door, they can't sell their house. It's an issue. So understanding the psychology, the culture, and the history can change whether you can sell $1 million home. It's not just a fact, it's how that fact is going to impact you as a marketer. Chinese typically have a large percentage have no religious affiliation, okay? Now, why is that interesting? Well, it's interesting when you compare it to the Filipinos, where the number may be, 92% that do have a religious affiliation. You're going to deal with them differently. All about understanding your marketers. Okay? They typically don't live alone. Some do, some don't. So how many, Canadians versus Chinese versus South Asians living alone? And what about the seniors and seniors living in the homes? And how educated are you? And all those kind of factors. So I've got to figure out, I understand there's a huge marketplace out of there, I understand there's differences, and I've got to figure all of that out. How am I going to reach these people? Because I want to sell them something. I'm not in this for my health. Yeah?
Can we ask 2 people that question?
Yep.
One from Paul, from a marketing perspective, and one student.
Sure.
Just to think out of it.
Go ahead.
Anybody? How do you reach would you say?
Anybody. This is in general. How do I reach, from a paid media perspective, how do I reach an ethnic group? What do I have to understand as a marketer?
Well, I think how you touched on before, like understanding the grassroots and really understanding the culture and going to those like smaller communities to see what they're into, the mosques and the different organizations, associations, get a great understanding of that.
Grassroots, this is just paid. This is I got to shell out money. Grassroots is more of an activation. This is traditional, I'm a corporate marketer, I understand TV and radio and newspaper magazines, what am I doing?
You gotta realize what certain ethnic groups clump around which kind of media.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
Hold on, let's ask Paul now.
Watering holes is the term we would use, right?
Sorry?
Watering holes.
Yeah, it's where they go to drink. Absolutely.
Right? That's the term I would use.
Which is exactly what I started off with. You got to explore the options. Depending on the community, different vehicles will be more or less appropriate. So you go where the community is drinking. Okay? But then it gets complicated. So the first question is, okay, print. Are they reading newspapers? Are they reading in-language newspapers? That would be one of your questions. Well, okay, but which ones? There was a statistic before. There was like 21 Arab publications. In the Indian community, I think there's literally 104 like publications that are out there. So which one do I advertise in? Radio. Not all communities have radio. Does it exist? Is it an all Chinese radio station? Is it a Chinese show that's on a mainstream radio station? TV, same question. Is it Omni or is it ECG? Omni is free sort of ethnic television, right? But am I better off going on Omni and watching whatever Indian show there is that happens to be on because they say they're reaching 5 million people? Yeah, they have the reach of 5 million people. No one's watching. I may be better off doing ZTV because somebody's spending $18 a month to buy that channel, and that channel is on always. And the grandmother's watching it during the day, and the mom and dad are watching it in the morning, and the kids are watching when they come home from school. Is that a better spending of my money? Okay? Interesting questions about mainstream media. Online, okay? What are their online habits? You want to reach Israelis? I'll tell you how to reach them, other than going to Bathurst and Steele's and etc. You go to the online Israeli newspapers. So they're into the news because there's all kind of innovations happening, or war happening, or stuff they're very tied to their home. So yes, are they reading the papers here? Yes, but they're also reading, like there's a paper called Haaretz in Israel. They're reading the online version of Haaretz at home. So if you can get Haaretz to sell you an ad that's geo-targeted just to Canadians, you're going to get a bunch of Israelis that are from Canada. This is like one real life example of the online world. Okay. Direct mail. Our friends from Canada Post that you guys said was like sort of old school. Well, you know what? For ethnics, it's not necessarily so old school, because I know where they live. So instead of spending, pick a number, okay? Instead of spending $100,000 on a TV commercial that is not going to talk to the population that I want, it's going to talk to everybody, because I can't say, okay, you guys don't watch, you guys don't, you're watching, but I only want you guys. So you don't watch and you don't watch. Media doesn't work that way. You pay for everybody, right? Difference is now, instead of spending, I'm using 100,000 as an example, maybe I only have to spend 50,000 because I can create a direct mail piece, and instead of talking to 1 million people, where only 100,000 of them are the people I really want to talk to, maybe I can talk to 200,000 of the people that I really want to talk to, because I know exactly where they live. Same would apply to outdoor. But I don't want to suggest that ethnics are only reading their traditional English language newspapers. We're actually creating a product, which are in the marketplace actively selling at Ethnicity. We are creating a Chinese New Year's supplement. We are saying to mainstream Canadian corporations, you should be wishing the Chinese community Happy New Year's. It's going to be year of the horse on January 31st of 2014. And you go there, okay, but like, why aren't you doing it in Singtao or one of the Chinese newspapers? Why are you selling me an ad in the Toronto Star? Well, how many Chinese Canadians do you think are reading the Toronto Star? Yes.
100,000.
Wow, that'd be massive. Because I think there's only 385,000 people on a daily basis that read the Stars. But it's 70,000. So 70,000 English-speaking Chinese Canadians are reading the Star. So what you're saying is, if you're not looking for the new immigrant that maybe is not reading the Star, but if you're looking for second-generation Chinese, if you're looking into the educated Chinese who's in the business community, who's fully affluent, different stages in their life cycle, you're selling them a product for that. Plus, you're going to reach the other 250,000 Canadians. If your message is right, it's not going to be talking just to the Chinese, because you'll have articles with the Chinese New Year, but some of those articles are I'm going to want to read. You know, oh, it's the year of the horse. What do you mean? Like, what does the year of the horse mean, and what is the zodiac, and why is the zodiac related to the Chinese New Year? Or where's a great place to eat Chinese food during the Chinese New Year? It's of interest to me as well. So sort of, it's the crossover between the mainstream and the Chinese. So it's not always just about in-language media. Outdoor, much like direct mail, makes sense because of the clustering. Right.
Howard, if I can ask you a question.
Yep.
So I could understand in a B2C world how this could make sense. Is there an application in Canada for B2B world? If this is Cisco says, I'm not going to sell to the business community, as example, is there a fit here?
It all depends on the circumstances. So if I was selling to convenience stores, a large segment of convenience stores are owned by Koreans, I would say I should sort of figure out how I should be speaking to a Korean. But it would depend on the marketplace. So it all depends.
So let's pick Cisco as an example.
I don't know that automatically. I would go like, I'll stick with my Canada Post example. Okay. We know that immigrants tend to send money home. We know that immigrants tend to send parcels of clothing home. If I'm Canada Post, that's B2C again, it's not B2B. Don't know. I'm sure there is. It's just not. I have to really think it through. Now, what I'm going to say here is really, really important. It applies to all the media. Okay. If you were creating this marketing Bible and you found out about this in-language publication, what is its name? What kind of publication is it? Is it just classifieds? Is it international news? Is it local news? Tell me something about the publication, the environment I might want to advertise in. Who's the person I should contact? What's its geographic reach? Is it in Ontario, but you know what? They send X amount of copies to BC because there's a small population there. Like what is the geographic reach? What's the frequency? Is it a daily? Is it a weekly? Is it a monthly? Okay. What's its circulation? What does it say here next to circulation?
Warning.
Know why it says warning? Because they lie.
Yeah, they can't even free things they hand out, right?
The reality is they're not audited. So when somebody says how many papers you print, they're going to give you a massive number, right? It's the same thing in terms of their rates. Because they're business people, they negotiate. There's no real rate card. Because I can tell you, in mainstream media, how much it costs to advertise in the Star and the Globe, there is no rate card. You can find it online, but if I want to buy an ad, I can buy it for a fraction of the rate card. It's a negotiation. So if it's a negotiation with the Toronto Star, trust me, ethnic papers, where they come from a culture of negotiation, it's all negotiable. So the price on Monday is different from the price on Tuesday, and guess what? If I don't call on Wednesday, and you speak Chinese and you call on Wednesday, your price is even better than my Tuesday price. So understanding how many papers are actually distributed and what the costs are is not as easy as it might sound if I asked you how much is a quarter-page ad in the Toronto Star. I actually went through that exercise for the Chinese supplement, and it was very hard for me to get that answer. Not from them, because I know the rate card is made up, right? So just think about that. That's mainstream media. Then what do you recommend, right? What media does that ethnic group, follow? Do they support print or is it radio? Are they web savvy, right? So look at the published rates versus the advertised rates, negotiated rates. Will they do a deal? I don't know, I'm a travel company. I'll trade you a couple trips. I'm Cisco. You know what, give me the ads. You need a couple of, computers in your business. It's a deal mentality, right? Okay. Are they willing to provide us with any promotional editorial packages as part of the media buy? Okay, I'll give you your $1,000 for your page, but will you agree to write a story about us as part of the deal? Okay? Can they provide us with any demographic information? Because they're out there selling their advertising medium to people, hopefully, or some of them aren't, depending how large they are. What do you know about the community that you can tell me? We talked about stated circulation rates. What can I glean from the rest of the community? When I'm going to the guy that's the head of the Chamber of Commerce, I may want to say to him, hey, you know what, I know there's a lot of Indian publications. Which are the 3 that you would recommend we advertise in? Or what are the 3 that you read? Ask the community. When you're going to the radio station, ask the radio station about the newspapers. When you go to the newspaper, ask him if he listens to the radio and which radio stations. Grassroots intelligence, right? That's how does the community feel about the popularity of that particular media. Don't just listen to the guy who's trying to sell you. Ask everybody, okay? And this we talked about direct mail a little bit in terms of not only can they geo-cluster, okay, both are above average for reading direct mails. Not only can I find them, they're more likely than the general population to actually open up that letter, right? Just to sort of give you guys a break, interesting advertising blooper, right? You're selling baby food in Africa. Hey, it's a baby, it's no language, I should be able to use the same graphics. Cute baby on the label, that sells Gerber's baby food, right? Well, they found out that African companies routinely put on the label what's inside the package, because a lot of them can't read in that segment of Africa, right? What's the ingredients? What's inside the package?
Little white baby.
Okay? Understand your community. Okay? Public relations in your marketing arsenal to the ethnics. Press releases. If you're going to the ethnic paper, translate it into their language. Don't assume that they speak English. Okay? Do you have the list of all of the publications and all the contacts so you know to send out the press release when you need it, right? Contest. Can you negotiate a contest as part of your media buy? Yes, I'm going to take out the ad. Yes, I want editorial. So editorial is week 1. Week 2, let's run a contest together. Because you paid for that 1-page advertising, you want another half a page that's part of a contest. What's your promotional strategy? Is there a launch party? Who are the community leaders? Do I know who the influencers are? Who was I just reading? I was like really jealous. I forget who it was. It was like some, no, it was some company. What they basically did is they invited 300 people. Was it just I think it was a technology company, but the point was they invited the 300 people and they gave them all whatever it was. It wasn't the tablets, but they gave them 300 tablets. Everyone got it. They were seeking out the influencers to spread the word. And it wasn't people from their industry, it was the fashionistas, it was the media people, it was all of the bloggers, it was the influencers. So who are the people in the community, if you sell them, will spread the word and will endorse you? Back to Bloopers. CocaCola, when they first came to China, the word, what they did is they said, okay, I'm going to take the word Coca-Cola and I am going to do the letters as it sounds to me. Right? What happened? The characters used meant bite the wax tadpole. So imagine, hey, come by, bite the wax tadpole. They sort of got laughed at pretty quickly and changed it to a set of characters that means happiness in the mouth. Probably a better, in my view, sells proposition. The web, okay? What are the graphics we're going to use? What's the message on the splash page? Has the coffee been proofed by a local community member to make sure you're not saying anything that's inappropriate? What is the role of social media in that? We had this conversation yesterday. People were talking about the Chinese community and social media. Well, guess what? They're not necessarily on Facebook. There are Chinese equivalents of these social media sites, and the Chinese Canadians are on those sites as much as they're on the Canadian sites. So just don't think about Facebook, because Facebook is dwarfed by the social media sites in China, right? So, another blooper, Vicks. Vicks introduced cough drops into the German market. They were chagrined to learn the German pronunciation of V is F, which in Germany is a guttural equivalent of a sexual penetration. Not necessarily the right thing to do. Not to be outdone, our friend at Puffs tried to introduce a product only to learn that Puff in German is a colloquial term for a whorehouse. This sold much better than the Vicks. Okay? Community relations. I've been talking about the community and the importance of really having a relationship with the community. It's a great way to go. Support their events. Show them that you really care. Give them privileges. Oh, you're a member of the German Chamber of Commerce? You can get 20% just because you're a member of the German Chamber of Commerce. And if you do that promotion with the German Chamber of Commerce, it's an implied endorsement. It's a great thing to do. It's not only the most cost-effective, you're getting that implied endorsement from them. So for each of the main community organizations, it's no different than the mainstream media. What's their mandate? What's their geographic scope? How many members do they have? Do they allow advertising, yes or no? Are there cross-promotional opportunities? Are there barter opportunities? If they have events, can you come to their events? What can you do at their events? Can you have a table? Can you speak? Can you sponsor? Okay? You've got to create a whole database of understanding of the community in order to figure out when you need to market to them, what's the best way to market to them. Again, contact information, and then I'm going to the guy from the community, I'm going, yeah, you know what do you think I should be doing in terms of my paid advertising, right? What do you think? I'm going to sponsor your events. Are there any other events in the community that you go to that you think are worth sponsoring? Let your community people be your source of your information, okay? Brazil, we're back to bloopers. By the way, I saw somebody sent me an email, and it was this Ford sign, and it said like Ford dealer on it, like a permanent sign, and so it said Ford dealer, and underneath it said, like on the stuff you could change, it said no relation, which I thought was really cute. You know, Ford and the dealing in the crack. No, you weren't today. Okay, Brazil, the Pinto. Remember the old car, the Pinto? It flopped in Brazil because it's slang for tiny male genitalia. Not a big seller for a car, okay? So they actually changed it. They actually went and they took the nameplates, they pried them off the cars, and they put on new ones, okay? Hunt Weston, our famous Hunts. Big John products in French Canada as gros jos, before finding out the phrase in slang means big breasts, okay? But this time the name didn't have any detrimental effect on the sales. Very different from our Pinto friends. They're mistakes, they're bloopers, they're funny, we smile, not so much if it was you. All of the central message on all of these is you've got to understand the communities. You have to use insights. You have to know what you're doing. You can't use, as I said before, the Google Translator. Promotions. Promotions is a marketing strategy. Do you have holiday programs? So we're doing this whole product around the Chinese New Year. What are you going to be doing with your product for the Chinese New Year, right? Refer a friend. Does refer a friend make sense? Because they're typically immigrants and ethnics tend to be close knit communities. Does that make sense for your particular product? Promotional giveaways. Can you partner with a retailer? Maybe I'm a food, and maybe Loblaws won't give me shelf space, but maybe I can go to the largest clothing retailer that everybody goes to once a week to check out for whatever reason, or once a month, and I do a cross promotion with them, right? Run a contest, but get them to sign up and get into your database. Run a contest and get information. I run a contest for Taste of the Danforth. I got 1,600 people responding for the opportunity to win a trip. What did that buy me? Gave away a trip. What did that buy me? More. I don't. You know what? In that instance, I wasn't buying contacts. Don't care, because I get 1.5 million attendees. So talking to 1,600 isn't going to help me. Order to enter the contest, you had to answer a 30-point questionnaire. I got tons of information about my audience. I know where they came from, what they liked, what they didn't like, whether they were going to come back, tons of their age, demographic. I got all that information for the price of a contest.
Wow.
So people sort of,